Good morning, Sanjay sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, so in another 2 minutes, we are starting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, this is the first class after the demo session, no?
See, this is the first class. We are just starting in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. So we are starting the class. So welcome to the class of AWS Cloud Computing. In this session, we are going to start basics of cloud computing. And later on, we will take some topics and all, right? So I think you are familiar with AWS Cloud Computing. So this is a very popular name. Cloud computing is basically you can find for every use these days. So what I'm doing, I'm just starting with introduction of cloud computing, basics of cloud computing, right? So see, here we go. These are the basically chapters we are just going to include, and these chapters we are taking according to the new certifications SAA03, because this certification has been modified or revised in the month of August. So we are taking all these chapters according to the new changes. So these are 21 chapters and few more topics that we are just going to include. So now, first of all, we'll talk about cloud computing. What is a cloud computing? So in the easiest term, cloud computing defines storing and accessing data and programs over the internet from a remote location. So just understand, very important definition I'm just telling you here. So in another word, you can say cloud computing term used for the delivery of hosted services over the internet. So delivery of hosted service over the internet is known as cloud computing. We have multiple platforms like we have Azure, Google, AWS, Alibaba, IBM, right? Many other cloud computing platforms we have. But the most popular platform is AWS. So we are just going to study about today about the cloud computing. First of all, cloud computing. So by AWS definition, what AWS says about cloud computing? It refers to the on-demand delivery of IT resources and application via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing model. What is a pay-as-you-go pricing model? As per the pay-as-you-go pricing model, AWS charges on per hour basis. Let's say if you use resources for 2 hours, AWS will only charge for those 2 hours. Now, this way you can control billing amount, and if any services or if services are not required, you can stop your resources, and this will control actually your billing amount. So we will see later on how the things can be managed. But first of all, I'm just going to start with the hosted services. We have two services. One is a hosted services and another is a cloud services. So first of all, we'll talk about the hosted service. So cloud computing is a type of internet-based computing where you can deliver IT infrastructure and software applications related services. However, before arrival of cloud computing, you used to deliver software application services from your own physical environment, from your own data center. But the time has changed, right? Therefore, you can see the two types of services are here. The one is a hosted services and another is a cloud services. So generally hosted services pertaining to your data center or physical infrastructure. So in this particular technology, you configure and maintain infrastructure and a software application at your own environment or at service provider premises. And access of these services to your end users are often provided through a direct connection. And this can require internet connectivity. Means if you want to host your services to your client from your data center, even though the internet connectivity is required, right? Now, just talk about the cloud services. Second is, in such platforms, you do not require physical servers. You have not to provision any server. You have not to maintain your infrastructure, right? So you do not require any infrastructure. You will use infrastructure through cloud providers. So cloud computing serves you a simple way of access of servers, databases, storages, and network capabilities and other set of application services over the internet. In brief, you can say hosted services over the internet is known as cloud computing, correct? Now, so we will not stretch anymore this topic because number of things that we need to just understand is we are focusing over benefit of cloud computing. So means why we are using cloud computing? What are the benefits? Because everything was running fine. We were happy with our data centers. In our data centers, we had servers, routers, switches, everything. We were managing it, and everything was running quite, happily. But suddenly a new technology came, cloud computing. So what benefits we are finding in that new technology? People wants to shift on cloud computing. So there are number of benefits. There are n number of benefits, but what I did, we just segregated a few benefits. And because of this, you can understand how actually the cloud is providing advantage to you to just adopt as a new platform. Today we see number of cloud computing platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, MS Azure, etc. So small, medium, and even large business houses find some significant benefits to switch on cloud because of its less cost, high availability, and easy deployment of services. What are the main benefits? Less cost. The cost really doesn't matter here. So if you are using cloud computing, because you have not to provision any server, you have not to buy any hardware, you have not to set up your data center, first of all, right? So you are saving cost, isn't it? And high availability is there. Means high availability, I will explain, because in each service we are getting high availability, whether it is a storage, whether it is a networking, whether it is a server, you're getting high availability. And easy deployment of services, right? Even from your laptop, if you have internet connection, you can manage your cloud environment from sitting your home. You can do work from home also, right? If you're working on cloud computing environment. So remember, cloud computing is not a single piece of technology, and hence we can't limit its benefit. This is very important. This also is very complex, right? So in this topic, you would see the different kind of cloud computing, also such as software as service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, infrastructure as a code. So these are basically the different cloud models, right? So we have platforms, we have a different kind of a cloud computing environment here. So some services are known as software as services, some services are known as platform as services, some services are known as infrastructure as a service. So I will explain during the training, right? So I will not consume much theoretical time here. So almost every organization wants you to use cloud computing benefits either partially or fully. And according to one survey conducted by consultant firm Forrester is basically one firm in United States. It is estimated that by the end of this year, 2022, the cloud computing market can touch more than $200 billion business. This is a big number, right? And big player of cloud computing like Amazon, Google, Intel, Microsoft, HP, Alien, all these are making huge investment in cloud computing. They are regularly increasing their global infrastructure. They are regularly increasing the presence of cloud computing, their cloud computing environments globally. So Amazon Web Services is a public cloud computing platform, and it is based on pay-as-you-go pricing model. Let's say we will start with the, actually I listed down some benefits of cloud computing like flexibility, disaster recovery, software updates. So let's say 8 or 10, I think the benefits are there. So one by one, we'll talk about. So first of all, we'll talk about flexibility. What is the flexibility? So this is a first benefit that I need to discuss about is a flexibility. So cloud computing is the best for businesses where you see a regular change in resource requirement or fluctuating bandwidth of demand. And accordingly, resources can be scaled up or scaled down. And to scale up or scale down to meet the requirement, it's a matter of few seconds or few minutes with some cloud administrative knowledge. Means if one machine is not enough, you can have multiple machines, right? Let's say you have one application and you are publishing your website, or maybe some application, people are using that application, and suddenly the traffic on that application increases. So automatically it will scale up. Means instead of a single machine, you can have 2 machine, 10 machine, 20 machine, 40 machine, according to the requirement. And it's a matter of few seconds. So it doesn't take much time, and you don't need even downtime as well. In addition, AWS also enables you to select the resources of your choice. So what is the meaning of this? Means you can choose any operating system. You can work on Linux, you can work on any flavor of Linux like Red Hat, CentOS, SUSE, Ubuntu. You can work on Windows, right? You can choose any programming language. These days, we are basically working on a different programming language like Java, Node.js, .NET, Go, Ruby, Python. These are some popular languages. So you can choose any programming language and you can work on that. Database, you can choose any database. We have generally 2 types of database. Number one is SQL database and another is a no SQL database. So both kind of databases are supported on these cloud computing environments. You can choose any database. It's depend what type of database you need for your application. That is most important, right? It depends on the use case. And the web application platform, you can choose any web application platform and other services that you require. So means you can choose any operating system, you can choose any programming language, you can choose any database or any web application platform. So you have total flexibility, right? Second, let's say talk about reduced and controlled capital expenditure. I'm talking about money here. I'm talking about this really important, right? So everyone knows that the business is money and money is a business. If you are saving money, it means this is a good thing. And you are cloud computing, definitely you are going to save a huge amount of money. And you have not to purchase any hardware. You have not to purchase any router, network devices, racks. That is not required actually anymore. because all these things are managed by cloud provider. So I'm just talking about one scenario. Think about the old and traditional way to run IT services. So you do require servers, routers, storages, switches, cables, databases, and UPS systems, etc. So many other things. Means we used to basically use all these components of data centers. And overall cost of all these infrastructure earlier was too high. And to cut down the cost of existing physical infrastructure, cloud providers an excellent opportunity here. You can now choose AWS services, which simply based on means pay as you go pricing model, and enjoy the service model. Then instead of heavy investment on hardware and software, cloud computing provides the reduce, or you can say the cloud computing provides resources on cloud at low cost, and you can configure them as per your need to deliver to your end user. So means you are not only saving time here, you can also put less efforts to manage infrastructure. This is the advantage you have, right? So that's why companies are now switching over the cloud, new technology, right? And one thing is there, almost every company in future will definitely going to use cloud, right? So next is software updates. What are the software updates? Actually, when you think about, let's say you have 100 servers in your infrastructure. You have 100 servers, 200 servers, 500 servers, right? Depend on the size of the company. And you normally offer, basically, you go for the patch management, right? Means you update softwares on those servers. You apply some application changes on those servers simultaneously. So patch management is a very important. So if I'm talking about AWS is now offers patch management capability, which is a part of system manager service. We call it as SSM in AWS. We will talk about in detail. So with the patch management capability, you can automate it, or you can automate your patching process. So this feature saves your time and reduces the risk of non-compliance. Time to time, the supplier of actually software finds some vulnerabilities in their product, and to fix them, they provide some patches. And we update those patches in our servers, right? So this particular feature in AWS is totally free of cost. AWS does not charge any amount for such facility, number one. But if you talk about earlier days data center or old data center, we used to have several computers or servers we used to manage, like Linux repository server or Windows WS servers. But here in cloud computing, you have not to manage any extra server, because your all online servers are connected through the internet, and later on these are connected through the online repository servers to update your operating system directly, right? So free of cost you can do it, effortlessly you can do it, right? Next is let's say stop guessing capacity. What is the meaning of the stop guessing capacity? It is actually very close to flexibility feature also. So when you decide to run an application over the cloud, you design an infrastructure as per the need. And at the time of designing, you either end up setting up on expensive resources or dealing with limited capacity. But if you are working on cloud computing, you don't see the challenge, because cloud computing allows you to tune the infrastructure as per the requirement. You can define minimum and maximum capacity of the resources, which can scale up or scale down in a few minutes. Let's say one machine is not enough. Definitely, you can have 2 machines, you can have 4 machines, you can have 10 machines, right? So you can span a number of instances, right? You can spin up your number of instances in a very less time. You can have multiple instances if the one machine is not enough to bear the load. So this here, we can say the stop guessing capacity, and you have not to purchase any hardware for that, right? And you have not to guess in advance how many machines you will need for that particular application or website in future. So anytime you can launch a number of instances by using auto scaling option here. We have an auto scaling option in cloud computing, AWS cloud computing, and that provides multiple features, dynamic scaling, fleet management scaling. We will talk about all these in our training in detail. It is very interesting, right? Next is data accessibility. Data accessibility over the cloud is cheaper and highly available for our business teams. We have different kind of storages in cloud. If I'm talking about AWS, we have object storages, we have file system storages, we have block storages, right? For different purpose, we have a different storages. But some storages are incredible. Let's say I'm talking about object storage. So object storage that provides you almost limitless space. There is no limit, means you can upload any amount of data. You can't believe, right? So in that you can upload any amount of data. The only thing is you will pay for the used space. You will pay for the used space. But there is practically no physical limitation how much data you can upload. So we will talk about that also. Next is security. Security is the main concern. The people definitely think about security when they use cloud computing. Some people say the cloud is not secure, but this is a wrong myth, right? This is absolutely wrong thing, because if you have a proper knowledge about cloud computing, and if you know how to secure your data, you can make your data secure very well. You can access your data stored over the cloud using internet connection from anywhere, number one. Number two, the cloud computing security feature is on a high priority for cloud computing providers. And this cloud protection of critical information from data leakage, deletion, and theft, right? And feature like data encryption are also available on the cloud. You can apply encryption on rest or during data transfer. So in both cases, you can apply encryption. Encryption also is a very important, right? So we will talk about even encryption and security in detail during the classes. So right now I'm just talking about only features, right? I'm talking about only the features.
Sorry to
Next
interrupt you,
is,
sir.
yeah,
This is the very first class, sir?
yeah, this is the very first class.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, now disaster recovery. This is a disaster recovery. In disaster recovery, basically, it is a method. What is a disaster recovery? Disaster recovery is a kind of a method or a strategy to take backup of cloud resources, including data and later, including your data. And later on, it can be recovered. Means this is a method to take a backup and how to restore data back, right? So this is called the disaster recovery. This disaster recovery can work on same region or a different region. I will tell you what is the region. Region is basically the concept in AWS global infrastructure. Region is a one geolocation, right? Like Mumbai. Mumbai is a region. North Virginia is a region. London is a region. Sydney is a region. So this way, we have multiple regions in AWS. We'll talk about later on. So what I'm saying, the disaster recovery is a method to take backup and restore your data back. So this provides the data recovery and backup strategy, which is happened due to man-made or natural catastrophe. Because the problem can be occurred because of any means. So the disaster can be occurred because of man mistake or because of natural reason. So AWS services that enables the fast recovery of your configured IT infrastructure and data, right? So we'll talk about, let's say you have one storage in Mumbai, and you feel that this is not a good thing to just store data at one place. So can I replicate my data in another location, let's say London? Yeah, definitely. You can replicate your data. So we have an option called cross-region replication, same region replication. So you can replicate your data from one region to another region, similar. And it is live, right? So whatever the data you will upload in Mumbai, it will automatically be replicated in London region. So that we will see practically how we can do it. So this again is one benefit of cloud computing, disaster recovery. And finally, I'm just talking about competitiveness. Yeah, since this cloud computing basically came, so since then the people means the companies, whether they are the big companies, small companies, or startups, now they have a different view in their minds, because they have not to maintain any data centers. They have not to start any data centers. So anybody can start this business anytime using cloud computing. So when you run a business, just understand. So according to let's say AWS, when you run a business, product of the business is an ultimate goal. Let's say you are a pharmaceutical company, right? And you are making medicines. But in order to run your business, IT infrastructure plays a significant role, right, in backend. But what is important for you? IT infrastructure is important for you, or medicines, quality medicines are more important for you? Because the product of the company is your medicines, right? The product of the company is medicine. So they will focus on medicine. They will manufacture more quality medicines, right? So the business houses basically needs to put all their efforts to maintain quality and production number of the product. This is more important. And AWS says, because AWS is cloud computing platform, so AWS says just focus on your product or project. You have not to think about IT infrastructure. And all these IT infrastructure will be managed by us. Means AWS saying that we will manage everything, right? You have not to bother about IT infrastructure, and you have not to put heavy efforts to manage IT infrastructure. So you have to just focus on your product and project. This is a good thing. This is a very, very good thing. So you can save your energy here. You will put your focus on your product, right? So on cloud, you do not require heavy lifting of racks. You do not require servers. You do not require cables, connectors, routers, and other resources. So infrastructure, software, and platform. So all these are just few clicks away on the cloud. Means you can easily manage. It is easily available to you to manage. And it is easy to use for everyone, and you will have better experience and low latency resources. So in brief, I can say cloud computing allows even smaller businesses to act faster than big and established competitors. Means anybody can start now business. Even if you have a limited budget and you want to start your business, So you have not to create your own data center. You will directly go to cloud and you will start your business, right? You will create your infrastructure with very less cost, because in AWS, in cloud computing, you will only pay for what you use, right? So guys, these basically were our the basics of or the basic benefits of cloud computing. Now, I want to just discuss with you few things. Just let me. I'm just going to, because I will be using here this Miro, right? Here we go. This is the page I'm just taking, right? This is the page I'm taking. Let's say I'm creating a new board, right? This is a new board. Good. Here we go. This is a new board, and I will paste the board. Here we go. And just understand, in this board, the last time we already spoke about, because that was a demonstration class and today is a first class, right? So people are asking me again and again, so this is a first class or this is a second class? This is a very first class, by the way. So that was a demonstration. Last time I completed my demonstration. So I would like to just go with why AWS, right? What is AWS? Why AWS? Why we are going to use AWS? Because number of platforms are there. Just understand, we have number of platforms, but still we are focusing on AWS. Like, just understand, do you see you have many routers available in the market? You have number of companies who are making routers, but when you study the routers, when you go for certification, when you go for the studying of the router, you always choose one what do you say, one certification, CCNA. Why CCNA? Similarly, in a same fashion, many cloud platforms are there, but when you talk about learning, when you talk about, because start your journey, you have to always start with AWS, right? So first of all, we'll talk about what is AWS, why AWS. We already spoke about what are the benefits of cloud computing. So once we complete why AWS, I will tell you how to basically launch your free tier account, how to launch your free tier AWS account, because that account is absolutely free of cost for one entire year. This is a good thing, right? Nobody provides this such facility. So AWS was the number one. So AWS was the first company who provided 1 year free tier account. So you will open a free tier account, and then we will see what is AWS Management Console. And then I will again, once I will just give you an idea about how to launch an instance and how to take a remote. We already talked about in the demonstration, but if you want, so if you miss that part, we will just show you here. And then we have virtualization. What is a virtualization? What is a virtual machine? What is containerization? What is the containers and virtual machine? So I will tell you about the comparison between containers and virtual machines, right? And then we'll talk about AWS global infrastructure. In this, we have multiple components like regions, availability zones, edge locations, direct connect, and local and wavelength zone. Let's say we have a direct connect also. Just a minute. Direct connect. Very good, very good. So here we go. So we will see the direct connect and local and wavelength zone, right? So all these things we will just do it here. Now, here we go, just a minute. Yes, now this is okay. And I will share all these stuff at the end of class, right? And then we'll talk about the list of services we are just going to study, and then we will start the first service, EC2. So still we have a long way to go. So very first, I'm just going to start with why AWS. So first of all, I'm just going to start why AWS. So AWS means Amazon Web Services is the world's most comprehensive and broadly used cloud computing platform. First of all, this is the most comprehensive and broadly used cloud platform. That's why you are choosing AWS, number one. Number two, AWS is offering more than 200 fully featured services. How much? More than 200. But one thing again, if you are talking about major and minor services, because every service has some minor services. Every service has some part of the services. So if you are calculating the total number of services, so in AWS, we have 1,500 major and minor services. Can't believe. And this is very difficult to actually learn by one person because we have different verticals. Let me see, right? We have the different verticals, right? Just a minute, right? We have the different verticals. We have a vertical for AWS architects. We have a vertical for we have vertical for developers. We have vertical for system operations. We have a vertical for database engineers. We have vertical for network engineers, for security professionals, for machine learning professionals, artificial intelligence, and we have a vertical for IoT, Internet of Things, right? So you have to select your vertical, in which vertical you want to be a AWS professional. The course we are doing is the first mandatory course that everybody should do this. AWS Solution Architect Associate level. Everyone should do this course, right? So once you complete this course, you will have very good understanding about AWS. Now you will have a full control over AWS. You will have good understanding about AWS, right? Now, AWS has millions of customers, including the startups, largest enterprises, and leading government agencies. Everybody is using. And AWS is trusted by over 1 million customers of all types these days. We have more than 1 million active customers. And people trust AWS infrastructure because it is more agile and available at low cost. What is the meaning of agile? Agile means for what you need that you have. What you need that you have means you need any solution, and that solution you have in the cloud computing. So it's an agile infrastructure, right? And why AWS? So question arises, why to use AWS cloud computing platform? So we identified some factors on which it takes technological and commercial advantages. The first thing that I feel, let me just give you one more page here, right? Because I'm just why AWS? Why AWS? So I will write few things in short, at least some headings I should write. So AWS cloud infrastructure. So business houses around the world are moving to cloud-based infrastructure to increase IT agility, scalability, improve reliability, lower cost, and flexibility to expand operations. You find everything with AWS. Cloud infrastructure is really a vast thing here. I told you, if you're talking about the AWS global infrastructure, in this you have regions, availability, zones, edge locations, direct connect, wavelength zone, local zones. We will study them later on. Right. Now, the second thing is why AWS? Because AWS does provide you free tier account, and the free tier account leverage is getting these days the business houses as well. They are also using sometimes for 1 year free tier account. So in the beginning, the people have no idea exactly what is AWS, right? When AWS came, people had no idea what is AWS and how to use it. And is it expensive? Who will pay money to learn? Nobody wants to pay money to learn, right? Therefore, AWS allows you to create a free tier account, absolutely free for 1 entire year. And with the few simple steps, you can register for AWS free tier account. But just keep in mind, AWS provides you free tier account for 1 year, right? But we have some cap on the services. Means you cannot use unlimited way. You cannot use any service in unlimited way. So on each and every service, you will have some cap. So we'll discuss about those caps. So therefore, AWS allows you to create a free tier account, and with a few simple steps, and it allows us to gain hands-on experience with the AWS platform and AWS products and AWS services as well, as free of cost, but with some limitations. Limitation means every service will have some cap. So we will explain those limitations later on. And the reason why AWS, its performance. Performance. What is the meaning of the performance? You might have seen. I don't know. You have attended my last lecture or not. You might have. If you might have attended my last lecture, so you might have seen that we can launch an instance within a minute, in a less than a minute. In a less than minute, your machine is basically launched and live, right? So in in performance, I'm talking about the performance. Actually, in AWS infrastructure, we are getting Xeon class performance. What we are getting? Xeon class. Xeon is a basically Intel microprocessor, right? Intel microprocessor for server based machines. So in our EC2 instances, we are getting Xeon class microprocessor. And that's why the performance of those instances are excellent. Excellent means extraordinary, incomparable. And its performance is far better than most your private data centers. In addition, AWS provides a multiple availability zones per region to maintain high availability. Isn't it? And the next reason why AWS is deployment speed. Deployment speed. So in AWS, deployment speed is very high as compared to your data center. Please don't compare with your data center. In traditional way, usually you take number of hours to provision a server, right? Generally, when you go to your data center and when you provision a server, you normally take number of hours to provision a server. But the same task or the same server deployment can be completed in a few minutes in AWS. And we will see all these things in details and how to use templates to create a machine or network as per your requirement. So deployment speed is extremely fast as compared to your data center. And the second and the most important part, why AWS, is because of security. Security, right? Security also is a significant thing. So AWS services, instances, and networks are well secured. So access of these resources can be restricted using IAM, and we will study in detail, right?
Sir,
So AWS allows you to secure AWS infrastructure. Anybody is telling?
yes, sir. Sir, what's the
Yes.
actual meaning of instance when you say we can launch the
Okay.
instance?
Okay.
in AWS?
Okay. I think you didn't understand my last lecture.
Sir, actually, I didn't get the last lecture. This is
Okay, no issue, no. Instance means virtual machine.
Acha, okay.
Instance means machine. Instance means
Okay.
virtual machine, your server, right?
Okay.
Will it be okay now?
Yes, sir.
Good. Very good. I thought you might have seen my last lecture.
Sir,
So I'm sorry.
one question,
So,
sir. On
yeah.
on one virtual machine, we can launch 2 services. Can we do that?
Pardon me? I didn't get you. Will you please come again?
Sir, on one virtual machine, is it possible for us to launch 2 services?
Yeah, that is possible.
Okay, so sir, so we'll call it one instance or 2 instances.
No, one instance. One instance means one server.
Okay, got it.
One instance means one server, right? Just understand, one virtual machine. Because on cloud you are not creating a physical machine, you are creating a virtual machines.
Okay,
So those virtual machines on AWS, we call them as instance, EC2 instance, right? So EC2 is the name of a service. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So we will talk about later on, right? I will come back on that also. Okay, I was talking security. I was talking about the security. AWS allows you to secure AWS infrastructure. Secure your AWS infrastructure. You can secure your resources using DDoS mitigation. DDoS means distributed denial of service. Means you can stop DDoS attack. We have a number of actually services who provides you security like guard duty, inspector, WAF, right? We have number of services. We'll talk about later. And data encryption also is allowed for various services. Other number of options are also available for security, such as monitoring, logging, penetration testing, identity and access control. Right, we will study about that. And next is flexibility. We already talked about flexibility. Why AWS? Because of the flexibility. Flexibility. As I told you, this is the most important feature of AWS. You can have a completely customized solution, and AWS enables you to select operating systems, programming languages, web application platform, database, and other set of services that you need in AWS, right? So means as per your choice, you can choose any operating system, any programming language, or any web application platform, or any data, right? Now, the next why AWS is talking about AWS global infrastructure. AWS global infrastructure. Okay. AWS global infrastructure, it is built to deliver AWS services with highest quality and performance. AWS services throughout the world. You are getting this global infrastructure in more than 245 countries and territories. How many? 245 countries and territory on this globe. So almost everywhere, if you have internet, means you can access AWS global infrastructure. And cloud infrastructure that we see in AWS is built around regions and availability zones. What are the regions? Regions are basically geographic locations, and we have almost 86 availability zones and 27 regions as of now. So we'll talk about, I will give you a precise idea about this, right? And we have very large global infrastructure we'll talk about. So I think according to me, AWS is the biggest global infrastructure they have, right? So guys, these are the basically some reasons why we choose AWS. Okay, now I'm just going back. Here we go, and I'm just going to tell you, because today I'm taking a little shorter this what do you say, class. So first of all, we'll talk about AWS, your free tier account, how to open AWS free tier account. Let me just put it here, AWS free tier account, right? AWS free tier account. I'm just inserting here. This also is very important. AWS free tier account. How to establish, how to open AWS free tier account. Correct? Okay. So I'm here, open AWS free tier account. So what you have to do? So let me tell you, because here I cannot use, because this is my Chrome. So I have already account in this, so I'm not using this browser. I'm using different browser. Let's say I'm using different browser here, and I'm typing here AWS free tier account. You have to type like this, right? You have to type like this, AWS free tier account, and press enter. And as you press enter, you will find the account sign up screen, right? Did you get this account sign up screen? We have an option to create free account. You will go there. Okay. Free tier account. You can just go and create a new AWS account. You will find this screen. In this screen, you will write your email ID that you want to use for this account. Let's say you are writing Sanjay, okay, .sh@gmail.com, right? This is not my real account, but I'm just writing the name. Let's say NK AWS account. And you can just click on verify email. As you click on verify email, so on this particular email, you will get some verification code. So this must be a real email ID. So this is not my real email ID. So by the way, you will just read that verification code and you will write here, right? And one more thing that you need to understand, in order to open AWS free tier account, you must have either debit card or credit card, right? So just understand, I'm just telling you. So this is a very simple procedure to create account. You must have either debit card or credit card. And these cards must be either Visa or MasterCard, right? MasterCard. Only these two cards are allowed. And if you have or American Express, American Express, American Express. So only these three cards are allowed, right? These three cards are allowed. Either debit card or credit card, both will work. But it should be either Visa or MasterCard. No Rupiah card is allowed, right? You can go to just take all these things in your hand. AWS will charge only 1 rupee or 2 rupee from this card to ensure that you are the right person. But without your discretion, without your permission, AWS never charges any amount from your card. Just understand, without your permission, AWS never charges any amount from your card, right? So don't worry about this. This is very important to basically ensure that the right person is creating AWS free tier account, right? He is going to use. So there should not be any misuse. So once it is created, so this will have 1 year, and you have to create a basic account, right? What you have to create? You have to create a basic account, basic plan. You have to take a basic plan. You have not to take any business plan. You have to take any basic plan. That's all. These two things you have to remember, and you will open your account, right? Once you just type your verification code, you will click on verify. The next screen will come. Here we will not have a next screen. Or I can also do one thing. Let me just AWS hands-on tutorial. Let me see. Free account. Let me AWS. Yeah, setting up your AWS environment, right? I think this is what you have. Create your account, right? You can just go. This is the link. I'm sharing this link among you in the chat, right? You can just go and see the chat, this link in the chat. So if you are a new, you can just go, right? Free tier eligible. You start a module, create your account. You are just going to create your account. You will see this screen, right? You will see this screen. You are filling your email ID and you're writing your account number. Then it will ask you to just type the verification code, right? Then you will fill, this screen will come. Then you will fill your information. So you have to create the personal account, not business account. Personal account you have to fill, right? You have to fill personal account here. So this will tell you each and every step. And here you will feed your billing information. Let's say you will type your debit card and credit card information here, expiration date of the card, everything you will type here. And finally, you will write the security check. You will select the country in which you are. And finally, you will take a basic support plan, right? This is a free. You have not to choose any developer or a business plan. You have to choose a basic plan. And finally, it is done. So when you click on complete sign up, it will be done. So this is a very, very simple. So this is what you have, right? That you can do very easily. So everything step by step is given here that you can choose and you can complete it, right? So this is not a complex, this is not a complicated. This can be done very easily, right? Now, let's say I'm just going here and I'm just going to show that how actually looks like. Let me show you. So first of all, this is my email ID. First of all, I have to type password. The password is there. My account basically is a multi-factor authentication enabled. My account is MFA enabled, right? So I have to read actually MFA code from my mobile and I will submit it. And once I submit, you can see my AWS management console is in front of me. So this is the first screen, right? This is the first screen that you would see. So these are the recently visited services. So I will talk about all these services in my next class, right? And the current month cost is $16. Very good. An estimated cost is $20 that we have to see. And the last month cost is $7 that we can see. Okay. So guys, this is how actually the thing is working. Because I'm teaching a few paid services as well, right? I'm teaching actually professional level of certifications as well. So please don't see my current usage. Okay. So this is how actually the thing is done. So we will see in the next class. So for today is enough. So I will explain you what is AWS and what is this AWS management console and what are the meaning of all these components are given on this screen and how you can use it and how you can start your journey with AWS, right? For today, I think it's enough. So we are closing the session for the day, and in next class, we'll meet again. Thanks, everyone.